Never start your crochet projects using the hook size recommended on the yarn label. Most people think that the little picture on the back of the yarn tells them exactly what to do, but following that advice is the fastest way to make a sweater that feels like a stiff rug. If you want to make clothes that actually drape over your body like something you'd buy at a high-end boutique, you have to break the rules. There's a secret to making crochet look like expensive knitwear, and it all starts with one tiny change that almost every beginner gets wrong. In this video, we're looking at how to take your crochet to a level you probably didn't think was possible. We're moving way past the basic scarves and those stiff, boxy blankets. I'm going to show you how to choose materials that make your work look professional, how to use stitches that trick people into thinking you've been knitting for years, and how to shape your garments so they actually fit a human body. If you've ever finished a project, looked in the mirror, and thought, well, it looks handmade, we are going to fix that today. We're going to turn your hobby into a craft that produces pieces people will actually want to pay real money for. The biggest problem we have in the crochet world is what I call the stiffness factor. Because crochet stitches are naturally thicker than knitting stitches, they tend to be very heavy and very rigid. You spend 40 hours making a beautiful cardigan. You put it on, and instead of flowing with your movement, it just sits there like a suit of armor. It's bulky, it's heavy, and it makes you look way bigger than you are. This is the challenge that keeps most people stuck. They think they just aren't good at crochet. But the truth is, they are just using the wrong techniques for the items they want to make. You can't use the same method for a pot holder that you use for a summer dress, but that's what most patterns tell you to do. Let's dive into how we fix this, starting with your yarn choice. If you walk into a craft store and just grab the cheapest acrylic yarn because it's on sale, you are already making things harder for yourself. Cheap acrylic is great for some things, but it's the enemy of professional-looking clothes. It's shiny in a way that looks plastic, it gets fuzzy after one wash, and it doesn't have any memory, which means once it's stretched out, it stays stretched out. To take your work to the next level, you need to start looking at natural fibers or high-quality blends. Think about cotton, linen, bamboo, or wool. Cotton and linen are amazing for summer pieces because they have a weight to them. They pull the stitches down, which creates that beautiful drape we all want. Bamboo is even better because it has a slight silkiness that makes the final fabric feel like it cost hundreds of dollars. If you're worried about the price, try a blend, something like 50% cotton and 50% acrylic. You get the stability of the acrylic, but the look and feel of the natural fiber. This one change alone will make your work look 10 times better before you even pick up your hook. Speaking of hooks, let's talk about that hook size rule I mentioned at the start. If your yarn label says to use a 5mm hook, try a 6 or even a 6.5. This opens up the stitches and lets air into the fabric. It makes the piece much lighter and allows it to move. If you're worried the stitches will look too loose, don't be. Once you wash and block your item, which is another secret we'll talk about, the fibers relax and fill in those gaps. You end up with a fabric that is soft and flexible instead of hard and chunky. Now let's look at the stitches themselves. If you want your work to look expensive, you need to get away from the basic double crochet. One of my favorite level up stitches is the herringbone half double crochet. It's just a tiny variation on the normal stitch, but it tilts the yarn at an angle that looks like a woven fabric. It's elegant, it's flat, and it doesn't have those big holes that usually make crochet look holey or messy. Another one is the linked double crochet. The problem with normal double crochet is the gap between the stitches. It looks like a fence. But with linked stitches, you hook into the previous stitch to close that gap. The result is a solid, smooth fabric that looks almost like it was machine-made. It's perfect for skirts or tops where you don't want your underwear showing through. It's these small, intentional choices that elevate a piece from a craft project to a fashion. We also need to talk about the construction. Most beginner patterns are made of rectangles. You make a front rectangle, a back rectangle, and 2 sleeve rectangles, and you sew them together. The problem? Humans are not shaped like rectangles. We have curves, we have shoulders that slope, and we have necklines. To reach that next level, you have to learn about shaping. This means using increases and decreases to follow the lines of the body. Instead of a flat neckline that cuts across your throat, you can use short rows. This is a technique where you only work across part of a row before turning back. It allows you to build up more fabric in one area, like the back of the neck, than in another. It sounds complicated, but it's really just about counting. When you start adding these shapes, your clothes will actually stay on your shoulders and move with you. They won't pull or sag in weird places. Another trick for professional finishing is blocking. I cannot stress this enough. If you aren't blocking your work, you're not finished. Blocking is the process of soaking your finished item in water and then pinning it out to the exact shape and size you want. It's like magic. It evens out all your stitches, it sets the shape, and it gives the yarn a chance to bloom and soften. A piece of crochet before blocking looks okay, but after blocking, it looks like it came from a high-end store. It's the difference between a wrinkled shirt and a freshly ironed one. Let's talk about the climax of your crochet journey, the details. This is what separates the masters from the amateurs. I'm talking about things like buttons, borders, and seams. If you spend 30 hours on a sweater and then sew it together with big, messy knots, you've ruined it. You should learn the mattress stitch for seaming. It's an invisible seam that makes two pieces of crochet look like they are joined perfectly without a bulky ridge. And don't just use plastic buttons from a jar. Go find some wooden ones or some beautiful metal ones, or even make your own crochet buttons. Think about the ribbing on your cuffs and necklines too. Instead of the standard front post, back post ribbing, which can be very chunky, try doing a slip stitch ribbing in the back loops only. It is slower to work, yes, but it looks exactly like the ribbing on a high-quality knit sweater. It's tight, it's stretchy, and it looks incredibly clean. I also want to encourage you to think about color in a new way. A lot of times we see these cake yarns that change colors every few inches. They look fun in the store, but they can make a project look very busy and handmade once they're worked up. If you want a sophisticated look, try working with tonal colors or solid neutrals like cream, charcoal, or olive green. These colors highlight the texture of your stitches rather than hiding them in a mess of bright stripes. When the stitch work is the star of the show, the whole piece feels more intentional and expensive. The real key moment for any maker is when you realize that a pattern is just a suggestion. Once you understand how stitches work together and how yarn behaves, you can start making changes. Maybe you like the body of a pattern but want a different sleeve. Maybe you want to add a hood or change the length. When you start making those choices, you are no longer just following instructions, you are designing. And that is exactly what another level looks like. It's the confidence to look at a pile of yarn and know exactly how to turn it into something beautiful that fits your style and your body perfectly. The development of your skills involves understanding weight. Not just the weight of the yarn, but the visual weight of the garment. A common mistake is making a piece that is too heavy for its own structure. For example, if you make a long duster coat out of a very heavy wool, the weight of the bottom of the coat will eventually pull the shoulders down and stretch the whole thing out of shape. To prevent this, professional makers use reinforcements. You can sew a bit of ribbon into the shoulder seams to keep them from stretching. It's a tiny detail that no one will see, but it's the reason the coat will still look good 5 years from now instead of hanging down to your knees. Let's talk about the climax of your crochet journey. Stop wasting your time on crochet projects that are way too hard for beginners. I'm about to show you the exact projects you should actually be starting with. Look, I know you've probably seen those insanely complicated blankets and sweaters all over social media. And yeah, they look amazing, but here's the thing. Jumping into projects like that when you're just starting out is the fastest way to get frustrated and give up completely. I've seen it happen to so many people, and honestly, it's completely avoidable. So in this video, I'm breaking down the best crochet projects for beginners. These are projects that will actually teach you the skills you need without making you want to throw your yarn across the room. And the best part? You'll end up with stuff you can actually use or give as gifts. But before we get into the projects, we need to talk about why most beginners fail at crochet. And it's not because they're bad at it or don't have talent, it's because they pick the wrong first project. Here's what usually happens. Someone decides they want to learn crochet. They go on Pinterest or Instagram and they see this gorgeous cardigan or this intricate granny square blanket. They think, I want to make that. So they buy all the yarn, they watch a tutorial, and within like 20 minutes, they're completely lost. The pattern doesn't make sense, their tension is all wrong, they don't even know what half the abbreviations mean. And then they just quit. I've been there. My first crochet project was a disaster. I tried to make a scarf, which sounds simple enough, right? Wrong. I didn't understand tension at all. One end was super tight and narrow, and the other end was loose and wide. It looked like a wonky triangle. I was so embarrassed that I actually hid it in my closet for like 6 months. But here's what changed everything for me. I stopped trying to make complicated things and focused on projects that taught me one skill at a time. And that's exactly what I want to help you do. So let's start with the absolute easiest project you can make as a beginner. And this is something that pretty much every crochet teacher will tell you to start with: a dishcloth. I know, it sounds boring. You probably wanted me to say something exciting, like a cute stuffed animal or a trendy bag. But hear me out. Dishcloths are actually perfect for beginners, and here's why. First, they're small. You can finish one in just a couple of hours, which means you get that satisfying feeling of completing something without investing days or weeks into it. Second, they only use basic stitches. You can make a perfectly good dishcloth with just the chain stitch and single crochet. That's it. Third, if you mess up, who cares? It's going in your kitchen sink. Nobody's judging your dishcloth. But here's the real reason dishcloths are amazing for beginners. They teach you tension control. This is probably the most important skill in crochet, and it's something you can only learn by doing. When you make a dishcloth, you'll see immediately if your tension is off, because the edges will start curling or the whole thing will be lopsided. And because it's such a small project, you can experiment with different yarn weights and hook sizes without wasting a ton of materials. Plus, once you've made a couple of dishcloths, you can actually use them or give them as gifts. People love handmade dishcloths. They're way better than the ones you buy at the store because you can make them thicker and more durable. Now, once you've made a couple of dishcloths and you're feeling comfortable with basic stitches, it's time to move on to project number 2, a simple scarf. And I'm not talking about a fancy scarf with complicated stitch patterns. I'm talking about a basic rectangular scarf made with just single crochet or half double crochet stitches. This project takes what you learned from the dishcloth and extends it into something longer. The reason this is such a good second project is because it teaches you consistency. When you're making a scarf, you need to keep the same tension and the same stitch count for rows and rows and rows. This might sound tedious, but it's actually super valuable practice. This is where you really develop muscle memory for your stitches. And here's a pro tip. Use chunky yarn and a big hook for your first scarf. Something like a size N or P hook with bulky weight yarn. This makes the project go way faster and it's easier to see your stitches, which means you'll make fewer mistakes. You can finish a chunky scarf in just a few hours, and it'll actually keep you warm in the winter. The other great thing about scarves is that you can get creative with color changes without adding any complexity to the actual stitching. You can make stripes by switching colors every few rows, which makes your scarf look way more interesting without requiring any new skills. All right, so you've made some dishcloths and a scarf. You're starting to feel pretty confident with your basic stitches. Now it's time for project number 3, and this is where things get a little more fun. A simple beanie or hat. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Working in the round sounds scary, but it's actually not that hard, and it opens up a whole new world of crochet projects. Once you know how to crochet in a circle, you can make hats, bowls, baskets, stuffed animals, and so much more. The key is to start with a really simple hat pattern. Look for one that uses basic stitches and doesn't have any complicated shaping or stitch patterns. Just a straightforward beanie that you work in continuous rounds. Here's why hats are perfect for beginners who are ready to level up. First, they're still pretty quick. You can make a basic beanie in an afternoon. Second, they teach you how to crochet in the round, which is an essential skill. Third, they're actually useful. Everyone needs hats, and handmade hats make great gifts. The trickiest part of making a hat is getting the sizing right, but honestly, you don't need to stress too much about this for your first one. If it ends up being a little too big or a little too small, just give it to someone else or keep it as a practice piece. The point is to learn the technique, not to create a perfect product. And once you've made one hat, you'll probably want to make like 10 more because they're actually really fun and satisfying to make. Now this is where you can really start showing off your new skills. A simple market bag or tote bag. Bags are amazing because they're practical, they look impressive, and they're actually not that hard to make. A basic market bag is just a rectangle or circle that you work in the round and then add handles to. That's it. But here's why bags are such a good project for beginners who have made it this far. They teach you about structure. Unlike a scarf or a blanket, a bag needs to be sturdy enough to hold things. This means you need to think about your yarn choice, your stitch choice, and your tension in a different way. For your first bag, I'd recommend using a sturdy cotton yarn and a relatively tight stitch like single crochet or half double crochet. This will give you a bag that actually holds its shape and can carry some weight. And once you've made a basic bag, you can start experimenting with different styles. Add a lining to make it more polished, try different handle options, play with color work or stitch patterns. Now, project number 6 is optional, but it's one of my favorites for beginners. A simple amigurumi or stuffed animal. I know this might sound complicated, but basic amigurumi is actually very beginner-friendly. The reason is that most amigurumi patterns use the same basic techniques, working in the round with single crochet stitches, increasing and decreasing to create shapes, and then assembling the pieces. Start with something really simple, like a little ball or a basic animal shape. Don't try to make a complicated character with tons of tiny pieces. Just make something cute and simple to learn the basics. The reason I love amigurumi for beginners is that it teaches you precision. Your stitches need to be consistent and fairly tight so that the stuffing doesn't show through. This level of precision will make you better at every other type of crochet project. Plus, amigurumi is just fun. There's something really satisfying about creating a 3-dimensional object from yarn. So those are 6 solid project ideas for beginners. But here's what I really want you to take away from this video. Don't rush. Don't feel like you need to jump straight into complicated projects just because you see other people making them. Every single person who's good at crochet started exactly where you are right now. They made wonky dishcloths and lumpy scarves and hats that didn't quite fit right. That's part of the learning process. The key is to pick projects that teach you 1 or 2 new skills at a time. Master those skills, then move on to something slightly more challenging. This approach might feel slow, but it's actually the fastest way to get good at crochet because you're building a solid foundation. And here's something else nobody talks about. It's okay to fail. If you start a project and you hate it or it's going terribly, you can just unravel it and start over. That yarn isn't wasted. You learned something from the attempt, and now you can try again with that knowledge. I've probably unraveled hundreds of projects over the years. Sometimes I get partway through something and realize I don't like the yarn or the pattern or the way it's turning out. So I just pull it all out and use that yarn for something else. It's not a big deal. The most important thing is to just keep making stuff. Every stitch you make is practice. Every project you finish, no matter how simple or imperfect, is building your skills. And don't compare yourself to other people. Don't look at someone who's been crocheting for 10 years and feel bad that your work doesn't look like theirs yet. They had to start somewhere too. If you found this helpful, go ahead and check out the next video where I break down the actual stitches you need to know.